Third time's a freaking charm.
Yay!
So for those of you that didn't know what just happened, we just spent the last probably 30 minutes trying to figure out how to go live with StreamYard. And we were just laughing about how much starting a business from scratch, regardless of what industry you're in, there's always course correction and problem solving. And that's literally what we just did for the last 30 minutes. So Jessica, thanks for your patience of being a part of that.
Of course.
Awesome. Cool. And let's dive in. So before we got the live started, we were just talking about how you have been having a week, and talk to me about work life. I'm going to call it chaos for a minute because that sounds like that's what it felt like.
Yeah. And I'd honestly say it's probably more like the last month than just the last week. But yeah, I mean, working and having a 3-year-old and Christmas and, being married and just all the things seemed to come crushing down on me this last month. And I really struggled with how to move through that. I'm pretty type A organized, although I feel like I've strayed a little from that. And trying to find my way back, or just even like a sense of a new, normal for me, or new organization. It's been a learning experience, I think. And yeah.
100%. Yeah. I like to think of it too. Think about when you first became a mom, right? You also had to learn how to juggle all the things, along with parenting, and now you have another role. Exactly. And it will continue. So thank you for sharing that. That's really what we are both here for. And on this podcast is talking about those types of things that come up as a business owner, as somebody in the insurance space, as a parent, as insert the blank here. Anything else that you are juggling is things that we want to talk about. And I think what's really cool, what both Jessica and I share right now, is we are both starting from scratch, hence the name of the podcast.
Yes.
So quick background for those of you that don't know me. I am Kimiko Donahue, and I have owned a couple of agencies before, both on the independent side, the captive side, and decided to jump back into the fire with you all and be an independent agent again. So didn't start with much, so I'm starting from scratch again, just like you all, and super excited to start this podcast with Jessica.
Yeah. Well, and I came from a background in criminal justice for 8 years, and then my husband and I just took the leap about we're close to 2 years, but a year and a half really going hard at it. So complete different, 360 from what I was doing before, learning to not only run a business, be an agent, our only agent, and then, also adding in the whole life and working from home and just all those different factors.
Yeah. How do you like working from home?
I love it, but I will say, so I've been here now. I left my, full-time 8 to 5, August of 23. So it's been just almost a year and a half. And at first I loved being home, but now I'm kind of at that point where if I could have a little bit of both, I think I would enjoy that. And so that obviously is one of our, goals for the future, is to have a storefront at some point. And I think I will really love to do kind of a hybrid, be home a few days and be in an office setting a few days. But overall, it makes just life in general so much more flexible. I can do things at home if I need to, or, I have the flexibility to do things for my kid, or just kind of whatever it is. So
yeah,
it's been good.
Retweet all of that. I think the hybrid thing is absolutely where I'm leaning as well. I've worked from home for the last 3 or 4 years, and I found I am way more productive working from home. I get to be creative, and to your point of being able to be flexible, I can attend things that my daughter needs, even some of my own personal appointments. But sometimes I miss people.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a little bit lonely. Or when my only person that is here is my husband and / owner, agency owner, kind of it's finding that balance of like, okay, you're my boss, but you're also my husband and vice versa. And so,
Yeah. Ooh,
yeah.
I kind of want to dig into that as well. Have you worked with your husband before? Or is this the first time you guys are together in that dynamic?
Technically, I mean, it's the first time we've directly worked with each other, but when I was in criminal justice, I was a probation officer, he was a police officer. So our paths definitely crossed, and they kind of always have since college. That's actually how we met. And so we've always kind of had the same, we saw each other occasionally at work before, but this is definitely the first time that we were working like 100% together. And so that has just been, um, also a learning curve.
Yeah, I can imagine. And remind me, how old are your kids?
I just have one, and she is 3.5. Well,
She's three
she'll
and a
be
half.
4 in March. So
That's awesome.
yes,
That is so cool. Yeah, I
yeah,
think for a lot of people that I've talked to around working from home and working with significant others, a lot of things changed and a lot of things came to light during COVID, when a lot
Mhm.
of people were working from home and had to be home all the time with their significant others.
yeah,
And you come
yeah.
to find out real quick, "Oh, do I work well with this person?" And, when you see them
He's
all the
watching
time.
right now. He's probably not happy that I'm outing him a little.
"You're safe, dude. We got this."
Good. Joe says you signed up for this, so it's fine.
It's true. It's true. Yep.
Yep.
Very cool. And just to remind listeners too, we really want to hear some feedback from you and some of the topics that you'd like us to dive into. Looking forward to bringing on guests as well. And really, I'm looking forward to having a learning experience from this in itself. I think it's going to force you and I to dive into topics that maybe we just haven't gotten to visit yet, and to learn about each other. So for any of the people listening, Jessica and I have actually never met. This
Yep.
is probably maybe the fourth or fifth conversation we've had with each other before this podcast. So we're also learning our dynamic and super excited to be here for you. I think what's really cool about having a platform like this is we with your feedback, we can address topics that maybe people aren't talking about as often, or give you a perspective from the ladies' side. Might as well just go ahead and say that. I know as when it comes to business roles, right, it is what it is. I think what is very unique about your situation and my situation, Jessica, is we are moms on top of insurance professionals, on top of any of the other things that we do in our life. And I think being able to one juggle all of that, and find it the hot topic buzzword lately has been work life harmony, I believe. A lot of people say they try to find balance. And I had a mentor a long time ago tell me that there's no such thing as balance. It's actually a blend.
I
And
like that.
yes, yeah, I've held on to that forever. And I bring this up a lot. Probably now I'm thinking about it, probably every podcast I've ever been on, and probably bring this up because it was so profound to hear that, because I always tried to subscribe to the balance, right? Of, okay, I need to be spread evenly across all the things that I do, and come to find out that it's not like that. It's whatever's the priority at the time is where your focus is going to go, right?
I love that too. Because when I think of balance, I almost think of like a teeter totter of like
Mm.
you've got, something here and something here. So you're trying to put all your, weight into one thing. Whereas, like you said, harmony or blending, you're having to do all those things together, because one second I might need to be a mom, but the next second I need to be an agent, and the next second I need to be a wife. And it's like, you can't, it's almost like it makes it harder when you're trying to, be in one thing and then move into the other. So I really
Exactly. Yeah, I think another really cool topic that has come up recently is I remember someone challenged me because I told them I was a really great multitasker.
like,
And they were like, "There's no such thing as multitasking." I'm like, "What? That's bull crap. That's literally what I do in my life." Come to find out that you can focus on one thing, but then pivot to something else very fast. So in turn, I found out that I was really good at pivoting.
pivoting.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on that?
We say pivot, it reminds me of Friends, but pivot. No, but I like that too, because I mean, you have to have like your brain's got to be able to shift. So you can't really take the time to slow it down and then move on to the next thing. You have to do the best they come. And so being able to quickly make that mindset change, I think, is really important in being able to balance it all together.
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
I like
Where do
that.
you go when you're having a week like that or having a challenge doing all the things at once? What's an outlet for you, or what do you lean on?
Well, I talk to my husband. I like to read. I like to go walking, but it's freezing right now. And I think my problem a lot this last month was I was trying to do it all myself.
Mm,
And so instead of using those outlets, I was having to try, not having to, I chose to like try to figure it out myself. And it obviously I failed because I didn't do all those things that typically help me move forward. So I also, I don't know, music, like a lot of times it's probably like a lifesaver of just kind of calming me down.
mhm.
But I definitely have in the last week that things have felt a lot better. I started talking more with John, my husband, and like I have a friend that we kind of talk through a lot of things. Joe's talked me down off of a couple ledges in the last month too, so that's kind of nice just to have that extra like person that can like put you in your place a little bit, but also be a lending ear. So I think that's important to be able to like talk about those things, and here just being vulnerable about it. So
Absolutely. I think that's a perfect segue, an unplanned segue into like a new topic about being vulnerable and asking for help. Is it based on what I'm hearing, you may be similar to me. I used to hate asking for help. I wanted to do everything on my own, my way. It felt I I had a limiting belief that I wasn't smart enough, if I had to go and ask for help. And
yes.
it wasn't until recently that I found leaning on your community, whether it was, your sphere of people that mentor you, that coach you, or reaching outside of that to hire or delegate somebody that's their superpower. I think what what you're saying is just reminding me of the times that I struggled to ask for help. And it often, well, there's a couple things that can come from that, right? Is let's say it takes you a little extra time to learn all those things or do all those things on your own. You
Mm.
get a lot of feedback, or you can ask for help, have someone else show you or mentor you. You just cut down the time and you're still going to learn what you would have learned before, perhaps.
Yeah, it's like the vulnerability of like knowing that you need the help and asking for it, and then it makes you better in the long run, like you said, because it doesn't take as long to then be sufficient at the things that you have asked help for.
Mhm.
Um, I think my problem is I am like a control person. Like even something as simple as like the dishes. Like if my husband wants to do the dishes, like that's great and I love it. But at the same time, I'm like, but you don't like. I would just rather do it because it's done my way. You're like, even with work and stuff, we have a VA and we do not delegate to her as much as we should. And I think that again is kind of a control thing. It's like, well, I could just do it easier or faster than it takes the time to, teach it to them to do. But then in the long run, I'm making more work and more stress for myself because I could be putting those things on, to somebody else. And so even just like asking for help in that aspect of like, here, take a little bit of my workload off of me so that then I can focus on other things.
Yes, I love this. This can be an entire hour-long topic on itself, and we can definitely expand on it more. I think this is great for any business owner to hear what you just said, regardless of what industry they're in, is because we are all our own ceiling,
Mm.
And what was really cool to watch is I have a friend out here in Tucson, Arizona, who owns a business, and he was the CEO slash operator slash janitor, right? Everything that goes
All the
along with
things.
owning a business. And the day that he gave up control, and when I say gave up control, I mean he fired himself as CEO and hired a CEO to run his company. And he was a producer instead inside of his company, being an expert in the IT space. And his business more than doubled. It actually tripled the next year when he stepped away from being the one in control.
Wow.
And I hope to interview him on a podcast, so to be continued, because that was so profound to me, because that was something that I also struggle with, Jessica. So everything that you're saying, I resonate with, and still struggle with a lot of that as well around the control pieces. You when you want something done a certain way, if you talk to the successful business owners that have teams that can delegate, it required giving up a lot of control, and it
Mhm.
required the P word processes. And I found that a lot of new business owners and ones that struggle with the control piece is you can make a process. If you take the time to keep poking holes in it and keep trying to break that process, it's going to make it that much stronger to be able to delegate it and then trust your team to do so.
Mhm.
And I think this is I'm excited because this is such a cool topic about about scaling.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with not wanting to hire on people. There's some very successful solopreneurs as well, so I don't want to discount that at all.
Mhm.
And in the insurance space, I found that, obviously, if you wanna increase your revenue and increase your reach, one person can only do so much in a day.
Mm.
So the more that you can automate, which process is another P word, right? Or the same P word, is the more you can automate, the more you can teach others and give up some of that control and truly trust your team
Mhm.
is where you're gonna see the magic. And with that comes the other hot topic buzzword of vulnerability. It requires you to do that.
Mhm.
And I think this is what's really cool about this conversation as I'm saying it is you and I, one, just being aware of that and being vulnerable in the fact that, hey, we both have lots of room to grow, and we're open to that is I think that's where the magic is going to happen here in this space. So everyone watching, you guys get to see this in real time, and and this is live. This is not a pre-recorded thing. So you're seeing everything. If I stumble over my words or say something dumb, like, thanks. Don't hold it against me.
Yes.
Super cool. So, what's do you have a big goal for 2025? I mean, I know it's New Year's and everyone talks about, new year, new me, new year, new me, new me, new yes, that.
New
That
year, new
thing.
me.
Yes.
So I don't really have, I mean, I have like work goals, obviously, but I think in general, I just wanted to feel more like present in everything that I'm doing.
Mm.
Whether that's again, home, like being a mom, being a wife, working, any of those things. I just want to really focus on like being where I'm at, which again, I think goes into that blending piece of trying to be all these different things or people essentially. Like I'm a different person to everybody, and trying to make everybody happy a little bit, but while also myself, because I feel like I kind of put myself on the back burner a little bit.
Mm.
And so just, yeah, like being present with myself and, just tons of work goals, organization. I haven't had the time to even sit down to really like dig into what I want those to be yet, just because of how crazy the last month was. But I think that's what I want January to be is just figuring out what does 2025 like for us? What goals do we want to hit? What do we want? What do we want to be talking about December next year, of the things that we achieved?
I love that. I think this is a great thing to for people listening is around goals is there's no wrong way to plan your goals. And one of the things that's worked really well for me, I actually stole it from a real estate company. They teach goal setting and strategic planning, etc. They have a way to plan their goals called a 411, which is basically you choose a goal, like an annual goal, whether it's personal. Well, you categorize it. You've got your personal and your professional and your financial goals, and you choose an annual goal, and then you break it down. All right, in order to get there, what do I need to be doing monthly? What do I need to be doing weekly? All the way down to what do I need to be doing daily? And that has been a game changer for me because I've gotten to see it happen in real time for me. I got to see somebody use that same format in the gym to hit their goals. I've seen people use that to hit their how many homes are they selling, and then in the insurance space, if there's a certain premium that you want to hit,
Yeah.
what activities are you doing all the way down to daily to get that. And I think what's really helped me around goals, especially because we've all had those days where you feel a little lost, and if you're not sure where to go next with your goal, get into a mastermind group, get in with a coach, get in with somebody that's going to help guide you and
Mhm.
push you to think bigger. Because it's really cool. I actually found, I don't have it next to me. I'll bring it to the next podcast. I found my old notebook that I journaled my goals in when I opened my first agency. And what was really cool is, one, I've hit all those goals, so that felt really good and validating to see that. And two, I look back on it and go, "Oh my gosh, like those numbers were so small compared to what we all know we're capable of." So it was just a really cool perspective to go back and find that. I'll take a picture of it and I'll screenshot it and put it in the comments. I think it was really cool to see, like, it showed what did I want to be doing, monthly in premium. And now with experience, those are things that we can do, in, gosh, a quarter of the time. So it was just really cool to see.
I love that. I think that it makes it obtainable too, because you can have a big goal and it seems like it's so far out there. And then once you kind of break it down, then I feel like it's more of like you can reach that goal.
Mhm.
We kind of did the same thing. We kind of sat down and went through like, what do we want our premium to be for this year, breaking all that down. And I think that we were kind of second guessing of like, did we set our bar too high? Like, I'm kind of worried that we're not going to be able to reach this. Um, and I think I don't know if that makes us like we're trying to be perfectionists of like we're hard on each other. Me and my husband are both, kind of hard on each other when it comes to stuff like that. So I think that we were thinking we were setting our goals too high when in reality, if we bust our ass, I think we can do it. And making it smaller is the way to do that. Because if when you talk about weight loss, like if you want to lose 50.
Oh, you hit your mute button.
Am I back on?
Yep, you're back on. Like, what you're saying is super important. I didn't want anyone to miss it.
Yes. No, if you want to lose 50 pounds, like talking about the weight loss, that's your big goal at the end. And, that may seem really scary, but if you break it down to, okay, I have to do this, this, and this to reach that goal. And it's only, X amount of pounds a week or a month or whatever it is, it feels like it's so much more attainable. I think that's really important because then otherwise the goals kind of seem scary.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's actually exactly why this is designed that way, is so that you can celebrate the little wins. I think that was one of the things that I actually had to learn how to do,
Mm,
because anyone that's competitive listening, it sounds like you and your husband are this same way, it's really easy to get down on yourself when you don't feel like you have momentum.
yes.
And when you do break it down into the little chunks and you now achieve that, it's like, you can, especially if you're tracking it visually, if you're someone that's visual, you can actually see the momentum and get excited and celebrate that. And I think the another important piece about celebrating is, one of the things my coaches taught me recently is to celebrate at 90%.
Mm,
And here's why. Is one, because let's say you do complete it, a lot of people, they complete their goal and then that's it. Yay, you're happy, moving on. If you
yes.
celebrate it at 90%, you still are inside that momentum. So you're excited that you're about to hit the goal, and the next step is to actually set another one. So that way you're about to hit this next one, and now with that same excitement and momentum, you go and attack the next bit, whether it is, to your point, a weight loss thing. Maybe you dropped 5 pounds. Amazing. You're at 4. Let's keep on going to the next 5. What do I need to do?
Yes.
For insurance agents, whether you're in the PNC or life insurance space, you're probably tracking premium or revenue, and you hit piece of your revenue goal, celebrate it. Celebrate, if you have a team, celebrate it with your team so that everybody feels that excitement and momentum. Cool.
Mhm.
What are we going to go do next? And now that energy is still going into the next thing.
Yeah, I love that. We have like a premium tracker that we put all of our stuff in, and that's across like all of Clearview. So it's kind of fun just to see you can, celebrate everybody else's wins, even if they're small. But it's kind of nice to like put that in there of like, oh, like, I'm starting to feel good, or I feel like I don't know if it's just us or if this is like an insurance thing in general, but we will go, a week or two and it feels like nothing. Like I'm not currently working on anything, or just feels like I'm like kind of in that lull. And then the next week it'll be like, bam, 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 like so much stuff will come in. And so then it feels really good. And then to close those out feels like wins of like, okay, I've got those check marks on each of my stuff. And then other people can kind of lift you up too. Cause I think that's just a human thing. We all need that. Like, reassurance that we're doing well, that we are getting those little wins that are leading us to our big goals.
100%. And I think one of the things that I learned, okay, so real talk, everybody. I didn't know what KPIs were until I had a business partner that explained it to me. And what's crazy is I have a business degree. I've owned a couple businesses by that time. And all of a sudden he's asking, cool, what KPIs do we want to track? And I'm like, the what? The kippies? The kippies? So yeah, real talk. The day that I learned how to track lead and lag indicators or KPIs, right? The activities that you're getting to your goal and then what happens afterwards changed the game. Mm-hmm. And you can celebrate the activities that it's taking to hit those goals too, to keep that momentum going. For example, let's say you want to do 10 quotes in a day. How many conversations do you have to get to those 10 quotes? And let's say you had to do 20 conversations. We'll throw a number out there. Even if you didn't get the quotes, you did the activity. There's a couple things that happen from this. Is, to your point, it may not have happened that day and all of a sudden it rolls in the next day. Or there might be a coaching moment and now you can get that much better and use that momentum into the next activity, what that might be.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. That was super helpful for me, because especially when it was just me and, maybe one other person or a small team, those activities make a huge difference when you share it with each other. Mm-hmm. It allows you to gamify stuff, because especially working remote, what kind of feedback are you giving each other and how do you continue it? And I love that you participate in recognition, because one, that's one of my love languages. So that speaks to me dearly.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people, it helps, regardless of whether that's something that is necessary or not. It shows that we're thankful for you, right? Mm-hmm. Hey, thank you so much for doing this activity. We see you, we hear you. It's important to us. It makes you feel valued. Mm-hmm. And it validates your work. It feels like the things that you're doing mean something. It's going towards something.
Yeah. It's kind of like a little pat on the back, and then so you can celebrate the win a little bit. Yep. And then you can move on to more of those wins. So you don't have to like set in that, but
exactly.
I like that.
What about any personal goals for you that you're looking forward to this year?
I'm still working on this a little bit, but reading is something that I used to like last year. I was really, really good about it. And then I kind of fell off the last, 3 months or so. And so a friend gifted me a, like book club book, like a monthly book club. Yeah. And so I started that yesterday for January and I am loving it so far. So, just reading and like taking more time to myself, I think is kind of what I want to do. Workout I'm always kind of back and forth on that. So I think taking care of myself in a way is just personally, what I want to work on. And, yeah, I don't know. I'm still digging into all of the details on what I want my goals for this year to be.
Well, I'm so excited to hear the details. It sounds like, pouring into your own cup, you'll be able to pour more, right? The yes. Cliche saying of you can't pour from an empty cup, but it's going to make you show up that much better in every aspect of your life when you feel fulfilled.
Yes, agreed.
I love it. So what about you? Let's see. Most recently, this is like a spur of the moment thing, because that's how I live my life. I've been considering going back to school.
Ooh.
Yeah.
What would you do?
Psychology, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, the last few years been diving into personal development. So kind of, what you're about to dive into as well.
Yes.
And just learning about people has been so fascinating. And the whole reason I started diving into it was, one, to become a better communicator with other people. And what was cool is I learned how to communicate better with myself. So yes. Very similar to the thing you're talking about, take care of yourself to take care of others. And I'm finding one, how many people are struggling right now. It's definitely a thing, in all sorts of dynamics, whether it's in career, personal relationships, relationship with self. And I've just found it there's a need there, and I want to learn more about it. And we referenced it a little bit in the beginning of this call that I used to have this limiting belief of not being smart, and where that came from was, so I grew up in a family of engineers. Both my parents are super math smarties. My sister was, National Honor Society. Everyone got amazing grades, and just had a different dynamic of smartness. Is that a word? It is now.
We're gonna
Smartness.
make it one.
Yeah. And I was the artist with blue hair. I have purple hair now, but at the time, blue hair, loved metal music, and thought, oh, I'm gonna be in a rock band and drive monster trucks. That was my childhood dream. Cool part, I've done half of that. I'm in a rock band now. And what's cool is, just as I get older and I start diving into things, I'm like, oh wow, the more I learn, the smarter I feel, and I want to keep getting better at that, especially if I can help others feel the same way. So to answer your question, I know that was a little bit long way to answer it. I'm just looking forward to getting more knowledge, diving into a new subject, and applying it to all the things that we're doing here.
I love that. And it just made me think of something that I think, like, growing up, we always thought there was like just one line that you had to kind of go of, like, you go to school, you go to college, you're going to do this for the rest of your life. And I think it's really important, and to kind of change the like norm today of like, it's okay to change and do something different. And even for me, like, I knew when I went to college, like, I wanted to be a probation officer, and I figured I would do that for the rest of my life. And even like when this opportunity came up, like, I knew I wanted to leave my job, but I didn't know for what. And I just think that it's crazy to me if you would have said even 2 years ago, like, but 10 years ago, that I'd be in the insurance business or on a podcast or anything. I would have like laughed in your face. And I just think it's important to know that you can grow and become new things and learn new things and move forward. There is a girl that I met at one of our business events, and she is like in her early 20s, and she's kind of traveled a little bit, and she does Wichita coffee. She like goes around the different coffee shops here, and just kind of like shows off the local businesses, right? And we got to talking at our event, and she was just talking so much about entrepreneurship and everything at like, she's not more than like 25. And so I'm just like, I just wish I would have had that mindset in my early 20s, or even like in high school, to have known that there were different paths to take than the kind of normal thing, and not to say it's okay if like you want to be a doctor, go to school and, be a doctor for the rest of life. That's great. But I think it's important to know that you can change that path as well. And it just brings up so many more opportunities.
100%. And what's really cool about the insurance industry, I'm going to just give it some mad props, is insurance is so flexible, and it's one of the best industries to be a part of because it has unlimited income. What that does is it gives us options. So it does give us the opportunity to go dive into new interests, to start other businesses, to scale your insurance company, to give people opportunities. Like, if it wasn't for the insurance industry, I wouldn't be where I am, who I am, the things that I'm doing right now, for sure.
Yeah.
It's provided a platform for us to be able to do some really cool stuff.
I love that. I'm excited.
Yeah. So cool. I think this was a really successful first podcast after we figured out how to actually go live.
Yes.
So I'm glad that none of you had to see any of that, but just know that we made it happen.
Technical difficulties. It's okay.
That's right. We got it. Jessica, thank you so much for being a part of this with me. I'm super excited. I can already tell that we're going to be super awesome friends because I want to dive into your books, and I love the fact that you did a career change and your mom. Yeah, there's a lot of things that I resonate with. So super pumped for this. And thank you to everyone who's listening to this too.
Yes.
Cool. Awesome. Well then, friends, we will all see you next week. half hour earlier than we did this time because we will be on time with our stuff prepared and we'll know how to click the right links.
We will be ready.
Yes. Awesome. Happy New Year, everyone, and we will see you again soon.
Bye.
Bye.